Welcome back to Persephone Says. I am so excited because joining me today is Reagan, founder and creative director of Reagan Events and host of the Wine and Dine Me podcast. With over a decade of experience producing luxury events across the US and internationally, she is known for creative celebrations that have the perfect edit and standing firm in the belief that no vision is too bold. No detail is too small. Beyond her obvious talents, she brings a level of authenticity and unapologetic candor that I know you will deeply, deeply appreciate as much as I have. Every time I talk with her, I don't want it to end. So please welcome the acclaimed and refreshingly insightful Reagan. Thank you for being here, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. I love that we're continuing a conversation that we started a few weeks ago. Thank you.
No, of course. And if you haven't already listened, go to Reagan's podcast because that's kind of part one of this conversation. And we were like, we have to do a part two over here. We have to. There's so much more to say.
Yes, exactly. And we've connected even in between these and just the conversation's rolling. So I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Oh my gosh, we're going to go there. So one thing that I felt deeply about, so we met, I feel like we had to have met at some industry event a couple years ago, but Reagan is so incredibly polished. As you can see, her work is so incredibly polished. But what I love about you is that you are such a layered woman and have such deep stories and deep convictions that you're not afraid to talk about, which honestly is really hard to have and find authentically in this space because we're so judged for the outward perfection, but it doesn't mean we can't have opinions, right? And so for those who might not know your backstory, I would love for you to just share how did you get here and a little bit about you before we go into the paint of all the things we want to discuss today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so I've had my business for 13 years. I've been in the industry, 15 to 17 years. And I have felt that I've had to claw my way to the top. And one of the most pivotal moments of my career was when I was pregnant with my baby number 2, and I was moving back to the Charleston market. So in a way, I was reestablishing myself. I was probably in year 5 of business which is, I think, in and of itself a pivotal time. And I found myself pregnant with my second baby, knowing my marriage was over and in survival mode, quite honestly. And so I knew that I could not rest. I had no one to count on but myself. And if I was going to survive, it was truly on me. So I had my baby. And my ex-husband, he left the state 4 days after postpartum. I had
you guys, what?
I had a 2-year-old. He had just turned 2. So I was alone with my 24-month-old son, my 4-day-old baby, running a business. But you know what? There was no other place I'd rather be because I was in Charleston. I knew what I needed to do. And my first client meeting, I was 6 days postpartum and I had this new little thing that I brought. And then I ended up bringing her to France. I had a wedding when she was 5 weeks old. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, I was grinding it out. And all the while when life is happening, I didn't want to lead on to my clients that I was going through that because you don't want them to think you're in a position where you can't do your job. But now I do think it's important to share that because everyone is going through things. We have to look like we're perfect. But I think the message that I've been able to convey through our podcast is we're all humans. We all go through shit. And you really, I don't know, it's how you navigate the troubled waters that I think define who you are.
Absolutely. And I do feel like we are on the precipice of hopefully that starting to change just like one conversation at a time, which again is what I appreciate so much about podcasting as a medium because it gives us the opportunity to have an intimate relationship with people in their ears and they can opt in to get to know us if they so choose. But when you shared that with me, it shook me, A, because obviously I have babies, but B, because, you are so composed and it really made me feel more connected to you because you've seen some shit. And that's what I said to you. I was like, you've seen some shit. So I think that is what makes us feel just more bonded as a group. And to your point, like we're all suffering silently, publicly, whatever, but that doesn't make us not capable of doing our jobs, right? Like it just allows us to maybe be a bit more gracious to one another. But
yeah, absolutely.
Wild.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could go in so many different directions, and we've been talking, as you said, but there was a couple of themes that kept coming up in our conversations, both in the last podcast together, and then just in our conversations largely about Gen Z and certain ways that we need to be moving and navigating. And then also with influencers and how to utilize those relationships and how to maximize them and what happens like if it goes sideways. So I think I want to start with Gen Z. And at this point, are most of your couples in that realm, would you say?
I would say, yes, okay. I would say so. Mm-hmm.
And are you finding that they are demanding more transparency or like information from you through the planning process, or is that just not exactly your, like how your client is operating?
Yes and no. So the Gen Z definitely are needing more information. And I have found, at least as a luxury provider, that what they don't realize is sometimes they're getting in their own way. They're complicating a system that is a luxury system where they don't have to get into the weeds. And by getting into the weeds, they're muddying the waters, and it's preventing us from being able to do our job as well. So that's probably the biggest challenge that I've experienced.
In luxury and ultra luxury, it's all about phantom work, right? Like you're not wanting, like there's no point of having your client in the minutia. That's why people are paying you what they are paying you, so they don't have to know the 300 emails over the linen. Like, so you're helping guide the decisions. Right. But on social, we have influencers who are going through this for the first time. I mean, right? Sharing their experiences, but they're confused as to why they're not being communicated to. So do you feel pressure to show like receipts, over explain? Like how are you shifting your own process to navigate around this generation's needs?
You know, that's a tricky one. And I'll even back up just a little bit. So I would say the Gen Z person is overcomplicating things, whereas their parents are the ones who are like, sent the check, do the job, you know, those things. And I'm seeing these Gen Z clients feeling like the sense of, I think it comes from obligation of respect to their parents' money and feeling like they have to, you know, do all of the work to justify this high cost. So I think there's part of that. No, I am very, and maybe it's because of where I am in my career, but I sometimes have to have a come to Jesus. I actually just had one right before here where I'm like, you need to trust me. Yeah. You need to trust me to do my job. And that's really that. I can't do anything more than you other than say, I've gotten here in my career because of I can do this job and I'm not hiding anything from you. So I do, I mean, in a way, I have everything at their fingertips in a Google Drive where they can access literally everything and go crazy. So there are no secrets, but there are things where I do have to have the come to Jesus. Let me do my job and trust, because you're losing opportunities by letting me explain things. I think that luxury is not getting them involved in those decisions. A bartender, let's just use this as an example. Does the bartender have to explain that in order to provide you that beautiful $20 cocktail, they've polished the glass, they've prepped the garnishes, they've chilled the glass, do they have to explain every step that's gone along the way? Or can you trust the final product? And so I think if you start micromanaging and trying to understand, well, are you doing this? Did you do this? Why didn't you tell me you did this? The bartender's gonna be like, well, wait, okay, now your cocktail is going to be lukewarm and delayed, and my service is being compromised. I think over communication is key in getting ahead of it. And by over communicating, you are driving the ship. You're not letting them drive the ship. And if things are behind for any reason, don't hide that.
Right.
Go ahead and say that. I think, and I've actually heard this from other business sources, but clients will gain more respect by you saying, no, I can't do that, than saying, sure, no problem. And then you're late or you're behind or you don't do it well. Right. So, I think over communicating, beating them to the chase, even if you're behind, just say, hey, I'm so sorry. I got your email. I'll get to you tomorrow. Yeah. So that they're like, okay, she's there.
Right now, I feel like this generation is at a level like 100 as far as wanting to feel seen and heard. And so even just rolling it back for a second, when you are in the negotiation process, explaining your creative design and like how much of the minutia do you get into when you are at the upfront selling your services? How much of that is their business, honestly?
Right. I mean, in the ideal world, you're the one who's sitting back in your chair and they're selling themselves. Right. That's the ideal scenario. I think you have to show them enough behind the curtain to show your knowledge and your value, but without giving away too much, because then what's the point of them hiring you? What's the point of them contracting you? I mean, for years, I thought in order to win a client, I had to show them a budget breakdown and blah, 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 and justify my costs. But then you're giving away so much right then and there. I think a happy medium, if you really want to work with a client and you need to show them something, do a presentation where you can screen share and then keep that information to yourself. But I would even hesitate to do that because if people need that level of expertise, they can pay for it. And there are ways to pay for it without going to a full contract. One of my favorite things to do is an exploratory contract where people need your expertise, they need your value. And so it's a contract where we help you develop a budget. We help you identify venue locations. And then from there, with that expertise and hours of work that goes into it, if you would like to move to full service contract, that money spent applies to that contract. But if not, my time is protected and they've gotten incredible value for it. So
smart, really smart. So are you saying that you don't typically walk through the total budget and how it's going to be allocated until after?
Yes. So basically what I do is I know my numbers and I know that what I say to a client is we need roughly X per person. And I know you're probably trying to identify how much to spend, what your budget goals are, et cetera. But if you feel comfortable with this amount per person, I would say we're in a good place that we can move forward together. Okay. So that's kind of where I leave it. Got it. I keep it vague because it's just, and I even tell these clients in the initial calls, if you are talking to a planner and you say, I want to build a house for $400,000. And they say, sure, I can do it, without asking the minutia of how many rooms, what's the location, what are the finishes, blah, blah, blah. I would say that's red flag number one. So, and all of that comes after contracting. So you really need to focus on the relationship, looking at the work experience. And if you really need more vetting, I would say ask venues, number one, because a venue is somebody who sees the planners come in, they see the good, the bad, the ugly, and they also know what it's like to work with them. Did that planner set them up for success, or was it a shit show? Right. Yeah.
Right. You know, what I've seen personally, and again on the TikToks, is that we as an industry, there's a lot of mystique around weddings. And especially the higher we go, the more mystique there is. However, some people are feeling duped where they expected to pay X and they weren't told those questions. Like they weren't even asked those questions up front. And so for our clients, for the clients I'm coaching, for anyone listening, I mean, to me, like, of course you're going to have someone pissed off if they were told they could spend 400, and they could if they had 20 people. Right. but that little asterisk wasn't shared and it ended up being 800. Like, yeah, I get why people would be pissed. So what do you do in those instances when you have someone like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say, ask for a representation of what does a $400,000 wedding look like? What if that planner said they could do a $200,000 wedding for 200 people? Show me the pictures. I want to see, and would I be happy with that? So that is the best way to make sure that your vision and your budget are aligned. Honestly, and the proof is in the pudding there.
Yeah.
You know, if you said, I don't know, there's nothing worse than a planner saying, oh yeah, sure, we can do this. Oh, well, we can do it if we have white folding chairs, not upholstered chairs. You know, yeah, there's just so much that goes into it.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. But it does feel like there's a balance. And I really truly believe that when you are working with someone like you or at your level, you're hiring you because of the years of expertise and because like no matter what happens, you've probably experienced that or something similar. I'm finding that at this level, we're still justifying. And I'm wondering, how do you say to your clients, like, no, gracefully?
Yeah.
What's that look like for you, Reagan?
I mean, I have to say no quite a bit, whether it's somebody who wants to go to contract or someone who is contracted and I have to redirect them. The best thing I've found is to flip it around and just say, I would like to honor your goals and this would not be a position where I could honor your goals and achieve this. Okay. So then it's more on them. Like, I want to do this for you and I'm not given the parameters in a position where I can successfully do that. So that's how I've said no. And then if it's a existing client, I will typically again say, I want to honor your budget goals, but if we do this, we would be going over. So this is a conversation of just, again, over communicating, no surprises, and let them be the one to make that decision. I'm not the one saying no. Right. They're the one saying no.
Yeah. I feel like that's the only way to have it feel comfortable. You're putting the onus on them, essentially.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and then going back to the planners and the things, the years of experience, the years of hours, all of those things, people don't know until it's too late that they've hired the wrong person. It's all those years of experience actually matter. Anyone can have a pretty Instagram. Anyone can have a pretty profile or website, whatever it is. But usually when you're realizing things are going south, it's too late. It could be on the wedding day. It could be 2 months out. And I can't tell you how many brides have called me in an SOS situation where they need to fire their wedding planner and, but they're too financially invested and the damages would be too high to walk away from what they've already paid that planner. And from hearing these horror stories, I'm just saying, like, experience matters. And of course you have to get there, but maybe just ask yourself, is it worth the cost of my wedding to put all of that in the hands of someone who may or may not know what they're doing? Like the budget and the scope and scale of your wedding needs to match the budget and scope and scale of your planner.
Can we talk a little bit about that? Because I don't think I've never heard anybody talking really honestly about when brides are needing to fire other planners. And then when a planner ends up having to pick up the pieces, this happens so much more than we discuss. I mean, there's famous instances of it, which we know, but I feel like that famous example honestly just illuminated something that's like, it happens. And so what do you do in the instance where you do pick up the pieces? Like, because now you're having to, these people have PTSD walking in.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how do you navigate that?
I think usually the situation is so bad that just by having the first conversation, they immediately feel at ease. because they're having a conversation with somebody who knows what they're doing. So it's like, you as a planner, always your energy is contagious to your clients. I would say most of the times those clients come to you saying, we've already done X, Y, and Z. Can you give us a discount? To which I say, absolutely not, because we are not only taking on your wedding, we're usually unraveling a mess. And so the understanding that we're doing double the work, and we're putting out fires. So, asking for a discount for someone to come and save the day is not realistic. I mean, some people will do it, but I think the right planner won't. You really have to start from scratch. So the nerves go away really quickly once we do move forward. I had one situation, and this was a very public VIP celebrity type person, and took over the wedding. And 3 days in, she called me and she goes, thank you so much. They were 4 months from the wedding, and they had a wedding planner for a year, and there were no contracts. And I'm like, oh my God, first of all, this is such a high profile wedding. I don't know how you could put yourself in this position, but there were no contracts. So me just doing the basics of like getting contracts, blah, blah, blah. The mom was like, we're able to breathe for the first time in a year. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then from there, the rest was smooth sailing, because it was a better experience than they'd already had. And your trust, just by doing your job. Do your job. That's it.
Right.
Just do your job.
Right. Yeah. I think, gosh, this just makes me crazy, because I understand when for the first time we get a bigger budget in our career, we want to jump. Like the answer is yes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in my space, honestly, I feel like most people's careers, like you finally hit the number, and even if it doesn't exactly make sense, because, maybe they have too many people, but we can like figure that out later.
Yeah.
We're saying yes, and then we're screwing ourselves over. And then now these people are going to the internet and bashing on you because you misled them. And so it really sucks, because the narrative is exactly that, if they just maybe spend a little bit more money up front to have someone who was willing to tell them the hard thing, which is like, I know that's a lot of money. However, to accomplish this, it's going to take more money than that. And I know that
you get what you pay for.
Yes. That is true. I'm sorry. But that is true. You can't cheap out on things like, I don't know. I'm a big believer in that.
Well, and here's the other thing. As someone who obviously was new in a career, I think if you have a big opportunity that you want to say yes to, you also have to be very honest with yourself. Can I do this? And if not, be willing to invest in hiring someone else to join your team to make that happen. I did it. My first wedding out of my career was a unicorn of a client. Again, celebrity. It was close to, well, I won't say how much it was, but I said yes. And I was smart enough to know that I was going to hire another planner to work under me so that I could do it was more of a safety net than anything else. I didn't need that additional help, but it was a safety net, and it allowed me to do the best job possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which that will get you the next unicorn client.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, spending a little in that capacity, like to me, that makes perfect sense. That's just like beefing up your team to be able to support the workload, right? And the scope, in my opinion, right?
Well, that's the other thing. I see a lot of planners not investing in their own teams, and then they're stretched so thin. And then on the day, it's a shit show. And that's how you burn out, you know? Service is a big part. I say this to every prospective client I talk to. Anyone can make a room pretty, but it's the service that is noticed.
Yes, of course. And it's also through at least 364 days before, right?
Yes.
And that experience leading up, because if it's been tumultuous,
right,
like we carry that with us. And so the smoother we can make those days, hopefully the smoother things can feel, you know, and go according to plan as much as we can plan for the contingencies.
Well, and one more thing on this. In addition to the experience, you're tapping into years worth of relationships. So people who are going to, if disaster hits, if I know that if I'm the one to call, that vendor might prioritize me over someone else who they just met. Yeah.
Correct. Let's talk about those vendor relationships for a second, because I feel like there too, again, a lot of rhetoric online. That's my job to bring it up. Is just people getting kickbacks by working with certain people. Like whatever your beliefs are your beliefs, but how do you create the trust, or what is the communication like with your clients when you are guiding the conversations on the vendors that you're selecting and why you're selecting them to build that trust?
I mean, I think it goes back to the transparency piece, and a lot of clients don't need that level of transparency, but for those who do, it's theirs. So that means access to all of the contracts. It means having them as the contract signer on everything. And then if you are the contract holder, explaining to them why that is and being honest with, yes, there are quarterly commissions that are paid out, but, and I don't pass those along to the clients because I'm the contract holder. I carry the risk associated with all of these contracts. And this is done on a quarterly basis based on my longstanding relationship. And what that buys you is X, Y, Z. So that's just a level of transparency. I think the minute you try to hide it, that's where trust breaks down. And we are in a very trust adverse industry. And one of the things that I hate so much and I wish could change is that this perception that the wedding industry is out to get you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No one has said that. Holy shit. No one has said that.
Yeah.
What's that about?
I know. I think weddings are expensive. It's a luxury to have a wedding. It is a luxury to have a wedding. But yeah, I don't understand the culture around bashing how expensive things are. I mean, it is, I don't know. Do people do that in building homes? I know I keep going back to the house, but like the cost of lumber, the cost of everything has gone up. But I don't see us attacking the carpenter.
No. Chanel just increased by 8%.
Well, and if you can't afford the Chanel, you don't afford the Chanel. Like that's the other thing. I don't like, would you ever go into Chanel and complain how expensive their bag is?
Never.
No. I know. Yeah.
But it's different. You're right. It's no different.
But I do think, and maybe this is a ballsy position to be, but I think you almost have to be a take it or leave it. And I understand that when you're building your career, that might sound scary, but for everything that you say yes to, you are saying no to potentially other great opportunities. And I say no a lot, and it scares me every year, but it's a calculated risk that pays off.
Can you be more specific on the things you're saying no to?
Yeah. So this is as far as accepting clients. Usually people who come to me with an engagement that's over 18 months, I am going to say no to.
Really?
And statistically, people who are planning a wedding 18 months, 2 years in advance are budget brides because they need that time to save. And I have found over the years that the bigger budget weddings come in with 6 to 12 months and they have the money to spend, and they're the clients who say, here's the money, here's what I want, make it happen. And so it's a calculated risk that every January 1st, I'm like, oh my God, what have I done?
Right.
And then it fills out. And people know this about me. I was just with a bunch of planners. They're like, I know you do this. And you always get those big clients. Yeah. And that is exactly it. There is a rhyme to my reason. And you allow yourself then to be available and flexible. So, and yeah, I don't know.
That is ballsy, but smart.
It's smart, but then like obviously there's always exceptions. If there's the right client or the right location. Yeah. So, but that's generally my rule of thumb. I will just say our calendar's not open yet. Meanwhile, I hear all these other planners who are freaking out because their calendar isn't full. And I'm like, we haven't even started accepting clients for that. So there's also that part of the strategy. Mm-hmm. When those big budget clients come around, all the other planners are booked.
Boop. There you go. I mean, we are often talking about how you can get your next best client, but if you don't have any room because you've accepted people who don't make sense for you.
Yeah.
This is one of the best lessons I've learned, I think, in the past year, is because I've always operated from a place of yes to whomever, even if like I knew they were going to be horrible to my team or like didn't perfectly align or didn't even half align. Like it's no different regardless of what part of the industry you touch, you're blocking yourself from that perfect client or that perfect opportunity.
Yep.
Or the perfect amount of money, frankly.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I saw, if we rewind to COVID, when everybody was pushing their clients into the next calendar year, I was thinking to myself, how? Because right now we're not going to have business on this year. Now you're taking, let's just say, old business and putting on a future date that you're saying no to new business. And I'm thinking to myself, this is so dumb.
Right.
It's so dumb. And I was fortunate. And I think part of because I had that mindset is 90% of my COVID clients, I was able to keep them within that fiscal year.
Stop.
Yeah. How? And then because I don't know. I mean, I think I encouraged them that it was possible.
Like you executed the wedding?
Yeah. They lowered their guest counts. We executed the wedding. It just worked out that way. I think a lot of people were nervous and scared and just were like, let's push it off. I can't handle this anymore. Whereas I was like, no, let's get it done. And so I was able to have a financially productive year. And then again, the next year when everyone was booked with last year's clients, my calendar was open.
That's brilliant.
I don't know. I think about that. Saying no.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's scary when things are slower, which a lot of people are having slower years. I think a lot of that is mindset. I think that's the moment you start putting yourself in that headspace, like you are reflecting that scarcity mentality. So it's how you show up online. It's how you are presenting in every capacity that you're like, and it's going to be a shittier year for you if you are giving that off. I think it creates like psychological mistrust as a result of it too, for just feeling like a level of desperation. But if that's your strategy, like it makes a hell of a whole lot of sense, because then you don't need to freak out or like, how are we going to do this, or burnout or whatever. Yeah. I'm saying this out loud almost to myself because I have lived exactly that, where once that perfect opportunity came, it's like, oh shit, I need to go hire 5 people yesterday. Right. For my biggest client. So now I have like 5. That never goes right. So I've learned.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, I make it sound easy. It's not.
No.
And it scares me to death. Like every year, I'm not kidding. Every year I panic.
Then, and then it all ends up coming in.
It does. You have to just trust the universe.
Exactly.
Truly.
Exactly.
All of that.
So I want to shift gears a little bit, because you've mentioned some VIP clients. You've worked with some high profile people. And I want to understand, when you're going into these situations, whether it's influencers, celebrities, like what is your approach? How do you think about it from a marketing perspective? Like, I want to lay it all out on how you're approaching those types of clients, because we're getting lots of people working with influencers at this point, rather.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, I have not been in a position where I'm negotiating a contract that is different than my normal contracts. I mean, I've been really lucky. I've been able to say, this is my cost. The only negotiations might be they negotiate my rate just a little bit. And when I do that, I do consider the opportunity as far as the content. The content and what that gets me. I haven't gone into a contract where I'm like, okay, in exchange for this many shares or this many whatever online. I don't have experience with that. But I have been in a situation where, do I want someone else to take this wedding or do I want it? And am I willing to invest in it? So that's what you have to think about it. Not that they're negotiating your value down. Mm-hmm. You have to kind of do this mindset where you're saying, I'm investing in this content. Mm-hmm. And not only the content, the guest list. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to be totally transparent. So we have negotiated countless numbers of influencer agreements and helped our clients with clauses in their agreements. I think the bigger the influencer, the more of a headache you should anticipate. Mm-hmm. Like they're used to getting free things. And so the bigger the diva behavior, in my experience, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah, I believe it.
I mean, having said that, the best piece of advice that I can possibly give is exactly what you said, which is not like wiping your fee. Never wipe your fee. Ever. No. But making sure that the give get is so clearly outlined in your contract on like how many times they're going to post and tag, and even on the wedding day, post wedding, like we're doing collaborator posts. You have to spell it out or else it will bite you every time.
What about this? Like, do you take a step further? Can you put in the contract that it can't be in any way, shape, or form negative? Like it has to be like glowing or like complimentary posting. It can't be something about like this horrible, like Nick Vial.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So like, how do you partner with an influencer, but also protect yourself? Because the idea is if they're sharing about you, obviously you want it to be good stuff.
Right. Right.
So can you write that in?
Oh, I always have a non-disparaging clause.
Okay.
It gets tricky though, because people go off or they write whatever they write, and you're still trying to like have this delicate balance because you're still planning the wedding. I mean, we're working with a client right now we're actively navigating this situation. However, it's so delicate because after that agreement is done, are they going to go and say the thing that they really want us? You know, Nick Vial is a perfect example of that. And so is Alex Cooper. Like, yikes. But I don't think it's a reflection of the planner. I think it's like their preconceived notions of what this is and isn't. And to your point earlier that like the narrative is the wedding industry is out for your neck and for all of your cash.
Yeah. Well, and then another interesting thing on this topic is when there is a breach of contract, what to do. And I was in a situation where there was a breach. Basically, the client was like, I've paid you enough. And and this was a I wouldn't say influencer, but the guest list was a lot of VIPs and celebrities. And basically it was like, I've done enough for you. You're going to get a lot out of this, blah, 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 blah. And my contract reads, if I don't get final payment, you know, the wedding won't happen essentially. And so I was faced with the decision of, do I say, sorry, you're out of luck until my balance is due, or do I do it? And I called, I called Lynn Easton, who I worked for, and she's a mentor of mine and friend. And I had a what would Lynn Easton do moment. And I called her and she was like, look, how much money has he paid you thus far? And I told her, she was like, okay, I would gather that that's probably more money than you made in one wedding a year ago. Yes, that's true. And she said, okay, you will create more of a shitstorm by not showing up and probably damage your reputation more. And you need to reverse psychology this and say, I'm getting paid X amount to create marketing, to create content, versus I'm not getting paid my full contract. And that mind shift totally changed my outlook, and I was able to move forward with the wedding without being entirely pissed off.
I mean, it's horrible that you had to do that. I mean, that's like awful, right? I mean, you did the work, it's in a contract, pay the money. Yeah. I like the mental shift. when you shared this story with me, I was like, what would I do? Would I like not show up? I mean, I'm a Scorpio and I'm stubborn. I'm like, I am not getting out of bed this morning, but and I can understand people who might take that position. However, I would have done exactly what you did, because at the end of the day, you're the one who holds the keys and frankly, the bag.
Yeah.
Right? It starts and stops with you. And so the repercussions of not, somehow it would come back to haunt you.
I agree. And no one knows which wedding or their guest list doesn't know, but I guarantee you if I didn't show up, all those guest lists, everybody, it would be all about the shitty planner who ruined my wedding day. Whereas, it's just, I've never been in that situation before. I hope I'm not in it again. But I think if I ever did find myself, I would do the exact same thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. In my experience, the bigger the influencer, the more hundreds of thousands of followers, the more of an asshole you should expect they are going to be.
Yeah. Well, and also can you, because as a planner, I think I would feel uncomfortable if I was negotiating free things on their behalf. I would feel terrible asking my vendors to do things for less, because also the reality is a lot of these top vendors don't need to negotiate. So is that something that you put on the influencer that they have to do, or do they expect their planners to do that?
They're expecting the planners to do that.
Oh my God. Yeah.
In order to receive the mentions, in order to be included in, the press craze, in order to make sure that they are going to get that feature in Vogue or Over the Moon or whatever, which, I mean, you and I have talked about these things, and press outlets. I actually think if you just do the right number of collaborator posts, the amount of views and reach is far superior to anything that Vogue can ever give.
Right.
Let's call it what it is. But I will say that I think in my experience, they are negotiating with all of the vendors, which sucks because it's like, you have to know that going in. You just have to know that's what you're signing up for.
For a wedding planner, you're doing your job for less money, and you're doing more than that because now you're negotiating. I mean, obviously we're always negotiating contracts, but asking for things for free is just a whole nother thing. I'm not good at that.
Or below cost. Look, in certain instances, when someone's reach and relationship with their community is so strong where it's cult-like, I would say that is the time where you pull that card. Like, it is not every influencer. It's not micro influencers. It's like this person has 750,000 real followers and above. Sure. It will make a difference. It will get seen by the world. Like the Logan Paul, Nina, whatever her name is, like that will, I think, like Como Weddings did that.
Yes.
I mean, that's probably going to be the most viewed wedding of the entire year. Probably will get more reach than even Sophia Richie's wedding because of how big and strong and powerful their sphere of influence is. And then all of the influencers who are posting with millions of followers who are part of the weddings. Like, I mean, it just created a media frenzy.
Right. So going back to, you're not doing something for less, you're investing in that reach.
You can't, most small businesses could not pay for that number of impressions.
Right.
That many eyeballs to be seen on their work. Like a billboard, nothing.
Yeah.
You would need thousands and thousands of dollars to spend to get that authentically. So yes, that is always going to be a good idea, even if you're going to have to take it in the chin, and even if you're going to be sucker punched literally all year long. It's probably good for business, and like we can always I'm a masochist. I don't know.
I mean, you're making it sound real attractive.
I mean, I'm like, I would have done whatever. I think Logan Paul punched the cake, like whatever.
I know. But it goes back to the mindset shift of not doing something for less, not getting beat up. You're investing, you're doing these extra things to further your career.
Totally. Yeah. But I really appreciate that approach. Oh my goodness. We have covered so much ground. I have a little lightning round of questions for you.
Okay.
So tell me the most underrated part of your job.
The lifelong connections.
Ooh.
Where that goes, like the future opportunities that brings you and just the personal fulfillment. I think the lifelong connections is really the most special thing. I had a bride text me from 14, 15 years ago that she was just in the gym working out next to somebody else who she overheard was looking for a wedding planner, and it happened to be me. And so she was like, excuse me. And then just, sung my praises, and those lifelong connections close deals for you. And they also are just so rewarding personally.
Totally.
That's that.
I love that. What is your go-to favorite childhood cereal?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Okay, Haley Page said the exact same thing.
Really? I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, now I buy it for my kids.
Yes, totally. What is the best investment you've ever made in your business?
I would say internal investment. So with my team.
Okay.
So hiring a person who you're afraid to hire or feel like, am I going to be able to afford that person? Knowing that by doing that, it allows you to do more and more will come in. So you have to spend money to make money.
Amen, sister.
Yeah.
What is a dream event destination location that you really want to produce within, and why?
It's always Italy.
I know you're going to say Italy.
It's always Italy. I mean, I used to want to just cast a net and be like, oh, I'll accept any inquiry for Greece and France. And again, for the right client, sure. But Italy is just, I can't say enough. And it's such a diverse country that you've got the coast and you've got the country and you've got literally every type of terrain. The people are just so nice. And I haven't met a place that I haven't loved. So anywhere in Italy, I can't just pick anywhere in Italy. Yeah.
Sicily is my favorite. We went there for Engage, 2 or 3 years ago in Taormina. And I dream about it all the time. The moment I can go back, I'm like, we're going there.
Yeah. I know you watch White Lotus then.
Of course.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Last one for you. What is an industry cliche or hype that you wish would just disappear?
I think the pressure to attend every single expensive conference. I just think, I know. I just think attending those conferences and going into debt just to say you're there is not a smart thing to do. And it also kind of sometimes feels a little icky when you're watching everybody post look at me, look at me, look at me. I just think I wish people would focus more on doing the work and investing internally in themselves and their team than being there. I mean, I'm a believer of if you're not at the table, pull up a chair by all means. But I think everyone's drinking the same Kool-Aid, and I would like to see people maybe diversify a little bit. Yeah.
I actually have one last question for you in that same vein. If a new to you vendor is trying to get your attention, what can they do to appropriately start a conversation with you?
Yeah, don't ask for a coffee date. Don't ask for
I'm going to have that flash. Don't
ask for a coffee date. I would say if you have a mutual connection who can make that connection a genuine, I know you're amazing, and make that introduction, I think that goes a long way. But if you're a service provider, this was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Hair and makeup, instead of meeting for coffee and talking about how great your hair and makeup is, offer to come and do it for them. And then you're sitting in their chair, you're experiencing their service, you're also experiencing their personality. It's the best interview and exposure that you possibly can do. And if you're a florist, deliver flowers, a surprise flower arrangement. Who doesn't love that? So those kind of any way that you can experience a touch point like that. I know it's harder for companies like lighting and tinting, but yeah, if in those situations, maybe have a mutual friend connect you and vet for you.
Right.
Yeah, no coffee dates, please.
Please, like, no, you don't have time. It just feels, it's so inauthentic. So thank you for just being honest, because it makes me crazy. Picking your brain? No. No.
I will say one other thing. I did have a photographer once email me, and it stood out from other ones because all it was an email that complimented me. I know that sounds like weird, but she was like, hey, we haven't met. I just want to let you know, like, you're crushing it. I love your energy. I think what you're doing is freaking amazing. I just wanted to say, keep going. She didn't ask for anything. And it was like, oh, wow. Thank you.
Did you work with her?
I haven't yet, but it made me follow her, and it made me curious, like, who is this?
Right.
I don't know. It was cool.
That's chic.
Yeah.
That's really chic. I like that. I also think if you can, like, rather than spending the money to go to the conferences, you're going to be in town. Can you go to dinner? Can you come shoot headshots? Can you...
Yes.
You know, I think that's way cooler.
Yeah.
Way cooler.
Agreed. Or even if it's a drop by, like, make it something that's not as hard to commit to, like dinner. If dinner might be too hard to commit to, drinks. Or if it's, hey, I have something I'd like to swing by, drop in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, say hello, and you're giving them like a little gift or something like that. Sure. Make it as like easy to commit to as possible.
I love that. Yeah. Just some different kinds of effort is really, I think, the move, in my opinion.
Agreed.
But good. Yeah. Please don't slide into her DMs asking her for coffee. Okay.
I think there are a lot of other planners who probably agree with me.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's just too much. Yeah. Because we work with so many planners, we see all of y'all doing it. So like, stop.
Yeah. It's not necessary. Your time is valuable. It's super, super valuable.
Yes. Try something different. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I could go on and on. I just love you and adore you so much. And I'm so happy to call you my friend and to have this time with you. And I would love for you to just share how people can connect with you, work with you. Where can they find you?
We're always on Instagram. So at Reagan Events. And then our website is reaganevents.com. So follow along, and we love the opportunity to work with new people. Absolutely. And we only do a handful of weddings a year. So we're not a volume planner. So by no means don't be offended if we make a connection and we don't have an opportunity to work together until maybe 2-3 years down the road. But it's just because we have a small collection of clients, and, it takes time to build those relationships. So Instagram and reaganevents.com.
Amazing. Thank you, my friend. I'm sure we are going to have many more conversations because it's just such a delight. And thank you again for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.